What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. You can email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Flying solo tonight as Emilio's got family in town. Jacob is MIA. I'm sure he may pop up from time to time. And Tim out taking care of some business as well. So I'm sure those guys will be back a little later in the week. Let's do this, though. Let's go ahead and get things started off right, like we tried to just a second ago. All right, so let's just kind of dive into some stuff right off the bat. First of all, we got a super chat. I want to give a special shout-out to Jay. Thank you so much, buddy. He says, Willis looked like a young Aaron Brooks out there during the game. I don't want to hear any more LaFleur slander after this. Jay, me and you were on the same page, bub. Going into that game, the big thing for me was like, okay, if LaFleur somehow, some way pulls out a win here, with a guy who has basically been in the offense for what? I kept hearing 19 days. I've heard 3 weeks. I've heard, a bunch of different numbers. Regardless, less than a month he had to learn this offense and learn it on the fly and do it in a way where they were just went ahead and threw him on the active roster too. So it's not like LaFleur had any kind of cushion, any kind of fallback plan as far as that goes right off the bat, especially in week 1, I should say. Now, obviously, they elevated Sean Clifford yesterday as the backup. But, I'm with you, dude. Like, the game plan that LaFleur put together, and we kind of talked about it during the week, like you got to use jet motion. You got to be able to use that jet motion to keep their linebackers off tilt, right, and kind of off balance and not being able to key in on the run too much. But I did not expect the pony package with Jaden Reed in the backfield, which I thought that was phenomenal. And the cool thing, for those of you who don't know, the pony package, it's real simple. When you see the double sidecar shotgun sets, that's what the Packers referred to as the pony package, but more specifically when they had 2 running backs in the backfield. They really wanted to make that work with Aaron Jones, both Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. Hopefully you guys can hear me now, right? I think we're good. Yeah, okay. So they wanted to make that work with A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. The problem was every time they ran it, they would just motion A.J. Dillon out of the backfield and hand the ball to Aaron Jones. And it was like there was nothing ever set up. And part of it was probably because they couldn't get or establish any success out of that set. So they just kind of, let's scrap it. It seemed like they went away from it fairly soon, and rightfully so because they struggled. Yesterday, you get a whole different wrinkle to it. When you put Jaden Reed in as the second back in the backfield in that pony package, here's what happens. When they would go to Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, you're showing a 21 personnel. So on 21, regardless of if the Packers were going to use him as a fullback or not, 2 running backs would probably signal they're probably going to run the football, right? So you go to your base sets. You go to your base defensive set and you key in on the run. The beautiful thing about the pony package we seen last night, or yesterday, I should say, and I hope we continue to see it all season long, is you did it with a wide receiver. So you're still in 11 personnel. And by the way, it's the wide receiver that was leading the league leading the NFL in receiving yards in week 1. So when he's on the field, in no way, shape, or form are you looking at him like he may go to the backfield and be a running back. You've got to treat him like he's a true wideout. And here's the thing. If they had done that, guess what LaFleur would have done? Motioned him out of the backfield. Now you've got a mismatch with a base 3-4 or 4-3, whichever the coach is running, and have either a linebacker or a safety trying to match up on Jaden Reed in this mismatch central. So that's the beautiful thing about using the pony package out of 11 personnel. Now, they chose to run it. They chose to throw the swing pass, which technically counted as a run, even though it was a pass. It was either lateral or backwards pass to Jaden Reed. I thought it was just enough separation. It just goes to Jay's point here with the super chat. Same thing, man. LaFleur was in his bag. I had never seen that play before. Maybe you guys have, and I've overlooked it. That's definitely a possibility. But I had never seen them run a pony package set, fake the handoff to the running back, spin around, and throw a swing pass to the other back. I'd never seen it. I thought that was absolutely awesome. So, respect oranges. Was that jack-o'-lantern there yesterday? No, sir, it wasn't. I'm a big Halloween person, man. I love the fall. Love what we refer to as spooky season. Growing up where I grew up back in the mountains of Harlan County, Kentucky, Appalachian mountains, a lot of ghost stories, a lot of folklore, stuff like that. 99% BS, I'm sure, until you're walking through those mountains after dark, and then you start to wonder if some of that stuff's true. But I just love the Halloween season, man. It signals football. It signals fall, cooler weather. All that, man. Absolutely love it. Seems like everybody in the chat agrees too. So good stuff, man. Again, Jay, thank you so much for the super chat, man. That was the big thing with LaFleur for me was his scheme in general, and he didn't ask Malik to do anything he couldn't. I know there were some people complaining you should have threw the ball down the field more. You should have threw the ball down the field more. They did. They did. Did you see the pass when they loaded the box in this? I think it was in the second half that the play to Dobbs happened. Yeah, actually happened in the fourth quarter. 13:05 left. Box loaded, single coverage. Malik dropped back, stood tall in the pocket, right in the face of pressure, and just gave Romeo Dobbs an opportunity. Wasn't the best thrown ball, but if you're going to throw a bad ball there, at least put enough air under it where Dobbs can go up and try to make a play on it rather than throwing it on a line, So, yeah, I completely agree with you about LaFleur. As far as Malik Willis, what's awesome is Malik Willis should only get better, right? I think we would all agree that was the best game of his career, right? And he didn't start many games while he was at Tennessee. Obviously, he was a rookie for the most part. But the fact that his best game came on short notice, less than 3 weeks of preparing in an offense, and you get that best game, it really says a lot about Tom Clements. It says a lot about Adam Stinovich, and it damn sure says a lot about Matt LaFleur. I think he's only going to get better with time. The other great thing, too, Jay, is Malik Willis has got 2 years on his contract. We got him this year and next year at a little over $1 million per. So fairly cheap. I shouldn't say fairly, extremely cheap backup. And it seems like he's already showing more promise than Sean Clifford, who, by the way, you've got as an insurance policy sitting on the practice squad, right? So pretty darn cool, man. Let's see. Bernie in the chat with the super chat. Thank you so much, Bernie. Appreciate you. After yesterday's game, Vince Lombardi was smiling somewhere. Amen to that, especially with all those runs, right? I heard Ryan Schlitt breaking down on his podcast earlier today. I think it was the first time that the Packers had ran the ball that much since maybe like Donnie Anderson. It was something like that. So that would have been Vince Lombardi's days, obviously, unless it was right after Vince left, went to Washington, and of course, unfortunately, passed away shortly after he went to Washington. But yeah, that's I guarantee you Lombardi loved that type of ball yesterday. It was a lot of fun to watch. And we have Chalk Talk almost ready. If I had known I was flying solo tonight, I probably would have rushed Chalk Talk out, but I've got 1 or 2 more plays to break down and completely describe through text on the screen for you guys and gals. So we'll be doing that tomorrow. We'll definitely be doing Chalk Talk tomorrow. That way Wednesday we can move right along to the Tennessee game and start previewing that, which I got to be real. Between Emilio's help and people in the chat bringing information about the Colts, I thought we did one heck of a job kind of preparing for the Colts. And that's what we want this show to be, is like, how is the team looking at things? We don't want to look at it through the eyes of a casual fan. We want to look at it like, okay, what truly matters here? What's important to the coaching staff? What are they trying to stop? Who are those Tuesday players that they need to contain, right? Who are those players? What are some of their tendencies? Where do they like to throw the football? How often do they like to run compared to the pass? Where is the quarterback most comfortable with pressure coming from? You want to try to make him throw to the side of the field that he's uncomfortable throwing to. All those things came into factor, and lo and behold, we broke down. I wouldn't say we broke down, but we showed an interception that Anthony Richardson threw the week before, where it was kind of a deeper mid-range pass across the middle on the left side, and he loves to target to the left. But we said, don't give him those deep shots and make him layer those passes in. And the reason being is he's not very good at it. Dude's got a cannon of an arm. He's extremely athletic. He's only played like 18 games as a starter in football. That includes college. That's just wild to think about. So he's very raw. So he's not created that ability to be able to kind of tether those passes in, layer them in underneath the coverage. So he threw an interception that, if you go back and watch it, guys, it's almost identical. I mean, almost identical to the Xavier McKinney interception. Mid to deep crosser right at the hash, overshoots the target, goes directly to the DB, uncontested essentially. So we kind of spotted that, like, okay, let's make him play underneath. That's part of the game plan. His pass chart showed he liked to throw to the left, so be waiting on that. That was part of the game plan. Try to force him to throw right, and later in the game, he was forced to throw right. Eric Wilson gets an interception on that side of the ball. Everything just – there was nothing that kind of took us off guard, which is awesome, So as a fan base and, the listeners, like I said, Emilio, Tim, Jacob, everybody, we kind of put our heads together and we came up with a pretty good game plan. That was awesome. So, Bernie, thank you so much for the super chat. We appreciate you, bud. Jay with another super chat. Appreciate you, pal. He says, maybe a dumb question, but how likely do you think it is that Green Bay begins to us Willis in that Tatum Hill? I'm sure is what he meant. Use Willis in that Taysom Hill Saints format. Do you think the Packers would ever commit to that kind of scheme? Taysom Hill, I would say my answer would be a strong no, Jay. And the reason being Taysom Hill's built like a tight end. And they were able to kind of work him in as that hybrid tight end. Malik is such a smaller stature guy. I think he's a little over 6 foot tall, I believe. I could never see them working him in like that. I think the only way you could work him in is if you wanted him to be kind of a wildcat type player, and you just don't want to take the ball out of Jordan Love's hands, right? I think Matt LaFleur did a really good job of not going too extreme and catering to Malik Willis's strengths, which is his mobility and all those things. I don't remember seeing hardly any zone reads. They pretty much – I don't think there was one zone read option where he kept the ball in a read option. His 40-some rushing yards actually came through scrambling, right? So I like that Matt LaFleur didn't put too much into trying to do something outside of what his scheme normally calls for. He just kind of dumbed it down a bit. And Malik Willis said Matt basically came to him and said, hey, look, I'd love to keep everything in, but you tell me what you're not comfortable with taking out. And Malik essentially told him, hey, look, I'm not comfortable with this concept, that type of thing. And, man, it worked beautifully, right? But, yeah, to answer your question, Jay, there's no dumb question, first of all, man. But, yeah, as far as the Taysom Hill comparison, I feel like they're way too different because Taysom Hill was kind of built stronger stat. I want to say that Taysom Hill was like at least 6'3", 6'4". I could be wrong. He was definitely a bigger guy. If we're truly talking about the same person there with the Saints, I'm sure we'd have to be. But Taysom Hill, man, that was one of the guys that got away, man. He was a fun one to watch for sure. I'd like to have been able to see what Aaron could have done with him at the tight end position. It's just we weren't really looking at him that way when he was in Green Bay, right? He was just kind of a backup quarterback. But, again, thank you for the super chat, Jay. Appreciate you, bud. All right, it's going to be hard, like I said, to be able to identify the chats other than the super chats, gang, but I'll try to check in from time to time here. Let's see what 2-0 for this says. I love how the first 2 weeks have worked out because between the slippery field and the run game on Sunday because it limits the amount of usable tape on our offense. That's a very good point. When things go bad, sometimes, it hurts the next opponent too because they can't really judge that tape. They can't really get a real assessment of what it is you like to do, right? Coach Land points out BYU's finest Taysom Hill. There you go. So Prince in the chat says, so Morgan and Lloyd were the two I heard got banged up. Any others? I'm not 100% sure. I didn't want to key in on that stuff too early because we should start getting injury reports here in a couple of days. So I kind of saved that for later in the week. I do know this. There was a couple of things that I did make note of here that I am going to hit on. First of all, the right guard rotation. Matt Schneidman did tweet out during the game. The right guard rotation continues. Rookie first rounder Jordan Morgan in for the second drive. I'll tell you, one of the plays that made Chalk Talk, one of the key plays was that Josh Jacobs 34-yard run out of that nub left look that we ran, where we ran kind of strong. We normally like to run weak outside zone. That's one of the staples in Matt LaFleur's offense. He actually went strong outside zone on that specific play out of the gun. And Sean Ryan looked damn good blocking down the field on that specific play. I haven't dove into Sean Ryan's tape and judged him like Brian Bulaga is going to do and people like that know way more. But it just feels like Sean Ryan is slowly starting to take a significant lead over Jordan Morgan. But we're going to look at the PFF grades here shortly, so we'll get another look at that. Now, the Jordan Morgan injury might make that decision for us, right? The Packers tweeted out, tackle guard Jordan Morgan has a shoulder injury and is questionable return. That was during the game. So that might be why he got so many limited snaps. I don't know if he came back in. You guys discussed that in the chat if he may have and it wasn't that serious. But the fact that the shoulder is still bothering him, that could be an issue, right? That could definitely be an issue. So just something to kind of keep our eyes on there for sure. All right, let's see what else we got here real quick. A couple other screen grabs. First of all, I just want to, if anybody sees this guy in here, James, I know it's pretty random name, right? Just kind of generic, but he was in here at 5 o'clock yesterday morning. We're still looking for him. We're about to put him on a milk carton. He basically came in at 5:08 a.m. on game day and said this is going to be a bloodbath. Colts 37, Packers 13. So we're going to keep just shouting out him and see if we can get him to pop back into the show. I'm wondering if he's doing okay, man. You get worried when people disappear like that, So, but it is what it is. Let's see what else we have. This was pretty cool. ML football. Now listen, I understand some people don't like ML football. Some of these aggregators, they kind of look at them in a negative light. I don't believe in stealing people's content. I think it's always important to give shout outs. It's always important to give credit where credit's due. And here's my rule. If I ever share anyone's tweets or something and they ever come to me and say, Clayton, I don't want you sharing my tweets, I'll stop doing it. You know what I mean? Like they have the right to tell me to do that. I always looked at it from my perspective of if someone shared my tweets, I'd be happy about it. Like one of our tweets, the Josh Myers puking tweet video, actually made it into an SI article from, I think, Bill Huber. So that thing got shared around. Pretty sure it was my clip that was on the McAfee show earlier today, too, which I say my clip. It wasn't my clip. That I may have recorded it and tweeted it, but I didn't own that tweet. I didn't own that video. That always cracks me up when people are like trying to stake claim to stuff. And it's like, bro, you don't even own that. But nonetheless, ML football, some people like them, some people don't. This is what he said. Report, Packers star quarterback Jordan Love was actually very close to playing this week, ESPN reports. It wasn't just some charade, was the quote. This likely means Love will play versus the Titans this week. One hell of a quick recovery. If you've been watching this show, wouldn't catch us off guard one bit if Love played. We've been talking about it, that I thought there was a legit shot he could have played yesterday. I think that let me put it this way. When people say, oh, no, there's no way he was going to play, no way he's going to play. If it was a playoff game, you think he would have played? Oh, hell yeah, he would have played. So don't tell me there wasn't a shot for him playing. I think there's a chance he could play for Tennessee. But like I said yesterday, if they had lost that game yesterday to the Colts, I think there's a greater chance of Jordan playing against Tennessee. But the fact that they pulled out that win, I guarantee you LaFleur and that staff's looking like, I think we can beat Tennessee without Jordan. Let's make sure he gets fully healthy and not rush it back. That's just, I have no reason to believe that there's any inside information on that. That's just my personal opinion. Now, if he's 100% ready to go and it truly is day to day, like Matt LaFleur was saying, then maybe he will be out there in Tennessee, right? And it could be one of those situations like I had mentioned before. Personally, this is kind of what I would want to see is if Jordan thinks he's good to go, suit him up and have him on the bench and let Malik start. And if Malik gets in trouble, bring in Jordan, right? But it might be something that, yeah, he's good to go. But if we could keep from putting him on the field, we would rather do that. If that's the case, then why not have him as the backup? And then, like I said, if Malik goes out there and we do like we did last week, we jump up to an early lead. We kind of got the game under control. We don't need him. Cool. We didn't have to start him, and he was suited up and kind of get him back in that routine, right? That type of thing. So I know 2-0 for this. You hit it right there, bro. And thank you, Omer. Omer said I was on the mark. Appreciate it, pal. 2-0 for this is quote of the week. Quote, I don't get proud. And I love the remaining part of that comment too, and I don't have the exact quote, but he basically said, I don't get proud, and he more or less said it was all about God and his faith, and this is just awesome. Hearing him with I can't think of her name now. She's been covering the NFL forever for Fox, sideline reporter. I can see her. Oh my gosh, I can't think of her name. Anyway, he said the same thing in the post-game interview there on the field, right? I just love when people are bold about that and they don't care what anybody thinks about them. I think behind the scenes teammates really respect them for that. But yeah, man, I don't get proud. Listen, the book I read says pride cometh before the fall, right? And I think that definitely applies in football too. Let's see. Coach Lynn says Jordan has to practice this week. Yeah, I think it would be best. It's one thing, Coach, that you play in week one, you sit out all practice all week, and then you go out there and play in week two. But if you sit for 2 straight weeks, that's when some rust can really form, right? So that's a great point. Maybe it is out of the question for him to even play backup or anything like that. If he didn't practice. It looked like Greg Rice says, Coach Lynn and Matt LaFleur said that too. So there you go. If he is going to play, he's emphasizing that. Absolutely. So I completely agree. Coach Lynn says Willis is a true Packer. No wonder we made the move for him. that was the big thing for him. And Ryan talked about it earlier on the pod. I had seen the video. I didn't know when it specifically happened, but when Malik Willis was at the combine, somebody filmed him, and I love it too. He didn't have a camera crew with him. That always drives me crazy when people take camera crews with them to film their good work with the homeless and things like that. But Malik Willis, somebody caught a video of Malik Willis opening his suitcase on the side of the street. No, it seemed like he had just got into Indianapolis for the combine and passed a homeless guy and was literally giving him clothes out of his suitcase. That's Packer, right? I think that's the way it's been for a very long time. I think there's something to be said about a team that's owned by the community, and they're really, really well connected with their community because it's such a small place that you don't have a whole lot to do. They can really kind of press into that. So, yeah, he's definitely a great human being, man. There's no doubt about it, man. Yeah, cool kid. Wise beyond his years, seems like, right? And I know some people got upset that he got snippy with the media last week. I didn't mind it, man. Basically what he was saying to the media was like, I know you are trying to get us to say stuff and hot button topics and bulletin board material, and then they'll go back and say, no, we would never do that. Come on. We've whether the Packers media is willing to do it or not, you've got to at least acknowledge. I don't think anybody in the Packers media is looking to do that and put someone in a bad spot. But you've got to acknowledge that happens all across the league on a weekly basis, sometimes a daily basis throughout all 32 teams. There's at least one knucklehead in there trying to get their little grab for their clickbait title and all that. But I respect what the media does, sports media does, especially with the Packers beat and all that. But I can understand where Malik's coming from. Like, man, I just want to play ball, and I'm not going to answer questions that might get me in trouble. I think that's absolutely awesome. So, yeah, respect oranges. He doesn't fully trust the media. That's why I like him. That's probably why 90% of our listeners wouldn't like him, to be honest with you. This is me, Eric. You're preaching to the choir, bro. Eric Sutherland says, I want to see Willis go into Tennessee and crush them. Milio keeps laughing at me because the game we're going to, I'm like, Malik Willis revenge tour, baby. How cool would that be? The team that gave up on you, and it goes a little deeper than that. The GM that drafted him got fired. So the next regime comes in, and they're basically saying, you're barely worth a 7th-round pick, is essentially what they said. And, again, they didn't come out in the media and say that. But like I always say, you want to know how people truly feel and what's important to them, look at their checkbook and look at their calendar. That'll tell you exactly where their priorities lie, right? The fact that they were willing to give him up for a 7th-round pick when the organization, whether you were there or not at the time, invested a 3rd-round pick into it, says a lot. Says a whole lot, right? How cool would it be for Malik to go down there and just, and not go like crazy, but throw for 200 yards, a couple touchdowns, no interceptions, rush for about 30, and the Packers get a win on the Titans' home turf. That would be absolutely awesome. So, got some updates coming in. Omer says Marshawn Lloyd injury is a sprained ankle. That is not good. That's not good at all. So, yeah. Let's see. Respect Oranges. He doesn't seem like the revenge tour kind of guy, but I do want to see him show what he can do with the right coaching. Yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point. So, that sucks. That's bad news with the ankle, though. Like I said, we'll have more updates as we go through the rest of the week. This was cool. Wes Hockowitz tweeted this out, said the Packers have now won 12 consecutive home openers, the longest active streak in the NFL. That's tied for the second longest consecutive win streak in home openers in league history. Miami had 13 from 1976 to 1988. So if the Packers win next year, right, then that would basically, that was tied for second. They would tie Miami for the most consecutive wins at their home opener. So something we'll revisit next year, I'm sure. But that's a really cool statistic, and it just kind of goes to show how important it is to play those home games for sure. All right, on to PFF here a touch. Actually, let's hold off on that for a second. I want to revisit some of the sights and sounds from the game there at Lambeau. We were talking about the home opener. I thought this was really cool, man, that the Packers Twitter account actually tweeted this out. This was the flyover for the national anthem in Sunday's matchup there yesterday against the Colts. Check this out. I would say it doesn't get any better than Lambeau Field. Look at that beautiful blue sky. Place was absolutely packed. Almost 80,000 people in the house. And I don't know about you guys, but I love the national anthem. I love that stuff. From the time that I was a young child, man, I remember one of my first rear end whoopings was trying to talk during the national anthem as a little kid. And I'm telling you, that's probably the best ass busting I ever got in my life because it set the tone for the rest of my life. But listen, when that anthem's playing and you're saluting that flag, I mean, this is why the anthem is important. And I don't want to turn this into it's a damn shame you got to turn anytime you talk about a flag or the anthem, it turns into something political. That's not the point of this. It give you my perspective on the anthem. That anthem is the entire country or whoever's in attendance of that event taking a second and acknowledging every single man and woman who has laid their life on the line for our country. That's what it represents. It's real simple. It's, hey, let's stop what we're doing for a minute and just acknowledge the fact that because of these brave men and women, we're able to live in a free country. It's not perfect, never will be perfect. That's some of the symbolism that's based around our country that other people try to draw these crazy conspiracy theories with. That's what it represents, is we're unfinished, right? We're constantly growing. We're constantly getting better. It's not perfect. But we're taking just a few minutes to acknowledge those men and women who continue to serve, and especially those who've sacrificed their life for us. I guarantee you over 50% of the country doesn't even understand what the lyrics of the national anthem mean. That drives me insane. And it's now because it's like it's taught that that's a bad thing. It just blows my mind, man, how twisted things can get. So, I don't know. I love it, man. I love everything about it. And again, we're not a perfect country. We got a lot of things to fix, but as long as we stick together, we can fix those things. So I thought that was cool, though, at Lambeau. The flyover was absolutely awesome. Another scene here, too, and this was tweeted out by Kyle. I probably butchered the name. I apologize, Kyle. Kyle Malzahn. I think I'm saying that right. At Kyle Malzahn. Go give him a follow on Twitter. He's a great follow covering the Packers. This was just real quick chants around Lambeau. Listen to that. So they were rowdy, man. And again, that's Kyle Malzahn that tweeted that out. He said, there's something about Lambeau Field and 77,000 fans chanting in unison. Packers fans are a different breed, special place. Amen. I love that early in the season you get these beautiful, as Wayne Larrabee says, sun-splashed afternoons at Lambeau Field. And then as soon as you get past the fall, you get the frozen tundra of land. I love it, man. I just absolutely love it. That stadium is probably the main, one of, if not the biggest reasons why I became a Packer fan was it's like, I got to go check that place out. Everybody keeps talking about it. Went to one game and I was hooked. It was over. That was all the way back in 2003. So, all right. So immediately following the game, obviously Matt LaFleur is fired up. I want to share this real quick. Packers tweeted this out on Twitter. Absolutely awesome, man. This was Matt LaFleur's reaction and post-game speech. If you got kids in the room, you're going to hear some beeped out words. If you don't want to have to explain that, ear muffle them or just mute the mic or mute the pod for a second, the show here on YouTube. But Matt LaFleur was absolutely fired up, man. The way he walks in here, look at his face. That dude, that's a look of everybody on the face of the planet didn't think we could get this win. And look at what we just did as a team, as a group. Let's hear what Coach LaFleur had to say.
Hey, bring it up nice and tight. Let's go. Come on, bring it in here. I'm so damn proud of this football team. Everybody in here, man. We talked about playing complimentary football. That was complimentary football at its finest. Give it up for yourself. How about our defense? 10. 3 takeaways. Kenny with a pick. Wilson with the pick. And Evan Williams with the final pick. On defense, give it up for Daniel Whalen. 3 punts inside the 20-yard line. How about the big boys up front? 53 rushes for 260. guy was here 3 weeks ago, man. 3 weeks ago. You know it? 3 weeks ago. You know it? He was 12 of 14 for 122.
I just appreciate y'all boys helping me out along the way, bro. Instilling confidence in me and helping me, go out there and play.
That's one game, man. That's one game. We'll enjoy it for 24 hours, and then we get back at this thing. We got a damn good football team, man, and it's never perfect, but I think the sky's the limit for this group. We got to keep battling, and we got to stay together. That is key. Hang on for the ride, all right? I failed to mention, happy birthday, Sean Ryan.
Hey. Man, great freaking win today. Celebrated 24 to 36 hours. But the best teams, man, keep going from here, man. It ain't no teetering. The best teams keep going, and we all gonna stay together and stick together as one and have each other back from here on out. Let's get it. Let's get it. Pack on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Love it. I like Jair came in there and said, yeah, after coach said we're going to celebrate it for 24 hours? 24, 36 hours. All right, let's get a little extra out of that. It was a cool win, man. I love football. I absolutely love it. It's just, I don't know, man. The thought of a group of men or women coming together and doing something in unison and actually overcoming odds, and especially when a lot of people write you off, that's what life's all about, man. I love it. Absolutely love it. So that's why even during a loss, I try to focus on the positive stuff on the post-game show. Like, all right, here's the things we need to fix, but we had some good here too, because it's like we wait all year long for football season to get here. And some people waiting all year long for football season to get here, as soon as it gets here, they just try to find everything negative about it, miserable. And I think the part that bothers me the most is they speak in a tone that's like, but if we don't fix this, we're not going to be – we? What? I say we too, but you're saying it like you're in the locker room with them, man. Oh, it drives me crazy. Like, life's too short, man. Be happy. Be happy. See here, Professor Cake says, I agree, Clayton. That's the kind of stuff makes a grown man cry. Man, listen, life sucks sometimes, dude. It's been a rough year for me. I know that, and my year probably hasn't been half as rough as others. And it's all right to find something that you're excited about. If people say you're stupid for getting excited over that or getting emotional over that, then I suggest cut them out of your life, because they truly don't care about what makes you happy, right? That's what I'm blessed, man. To me and Mandy, we're about to celebrate our 25th year together. We were babies when we met, man. And she's always – it's never, well, I'll sit this one out. You go to that ball game. She's right there with me, Find people, friends, and significant others that actually support what you like, and you do the same for them, man. It's important. It really is. Jay Cole says this defense has done some good things. There's always things to work on and get better at. That's the beautiful thing, Jay, about this game specifically. There's a lot of good coming out of it, but, man, there's a lot you can clean up too. I know Coach LaFleur and his coaching staff, they are absolutely fired up. I guarantee you they're like, to go get a dub, do it in a dominant fashion, and still have things on tape that we can teach off of, man, that's the best possible situation and scenario there. Respect Oranges says also Evan Williams with the onside kick recovery. I forgot about that, Respect Oranges. They trust his hands. There's no doubt about that. And the pick at the end, listen, I'm not one to go it doesn't count. It should count. It's an interception, right? But the way I see that too, I am going to put a little asterisk next to it, like, okay, it was a gimme Hail Mary essentially. He made the play. If he hadn't made the play, he damn sure would have got a negative mark. So you got to give him a positive mark for making a play. But I just can't wait to see him worked into the defense. And right now, Bullard had a great game. We're going to hit the PFF grades here in a second. Bullard had an excellent game. It was really encouraging because although he had a bad grade last week, you could still turn on the tape and see it was just 3 or 4 plays that made his grade sink. He still did some good things. On the Y bubble that we showed right here on the show, man, the way he attacked that Y bubble, ran by Quay Walker like he was nailed down and just made the play. And then to have a low grade, but you still seen the flashes week 1, and now week 2, bang. Now you're starting to see it kind of I don't know, settle at the surface. I'm excited about Javon Bullock. Omer says 20 snaps for Evan, but only 7 for Cooper. That really surprised me, Omer. It did. And what's crazy is Cooper still kind of made his presence known a couple of times. I remember at least one tackle that he made on the running back on Jonathan Taylor was like, who was that? Yep, that was Cooper. So it's obvious the coaching staff doesn't think that he's quite there yet. Now, here's what's awesome. I'm sure there's people that are complaining that Cooper didn't get that many snaps, but who knows if you'd had Cooper in on that play instead of Eric Wilson and someone else on the field too. Eric Wilson doesn't get that interception. Eric Wilson is, man, what a vital part of this organization. I mean, you've seen it. I know we lost the game to the 49ers in the playoffs last year, but recovering that fumble on the punt return or whatever it was, kick return, absolutely huge. He just always does his job. He's always toward the top as far as PFF grades for special teams. And then to come in and contribute on that specific play where they were in a 4-3 look, if I remember correctly. So we'll do that on Chalk Talk tomorrow as well. Greg Rice says, I voted for QB2 for game ball, unlike most of you, with the funny face emoji. So if you guys look in the YouTube comment section, you'll see a poll question, and it was who deserved the game ball in Sunday's win over the Colts. And the options were Josh Jacobs, Xavier McKinney, offensive line, or Malik Willis. And it's obvious who voted for Xavier McKinney. It's only 1% for Xavier McKinney. But right now the poll is Josh Jacobs leads the way at 45%. Offensive line is second at 30%. Malik Willis third at 24%. Xavier McKinney fourth at 1%. So that's how the poll question is sitting right now. So make sure you guys go vote. Also, take a quick second, hit that like button for us. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us this evening. Eric Sutherland says, I'm happier than hell for Willis. Hell of a young man there. He is, dude. Again, I'm excited to see him get his opportunities now in a limited fashion, obviously, hopefully some mop-up time and build a resume for himself so maybe he gets an opportunity to be a starter somewhere else, whether it be through a trade or what have you when he goes to hit free agency. I'm just excited that he's going to be the backup for the next couple of years. And, again, he should only get better. I say should because there's a chance he regresses, but he should only get better from here on out. There's no doubt about it. So let's see what else we got. I think we're pretty well caught up in the chat there. I hit on this on the postgame show, and in case you guys, I know not everybody was watching the postgame show, I want to hit it again. The tweet that I put out with Josh Myers throwing up, and I'm going to mute this here or pause it. So if you go frame by frame on this, you'll see Josh Myers right here. And he's just going to holler Ralph real quick. All right, throw up. I was literally watching the game, charting the game. I was charting several different players. And I'm watching the game, and I'm like, it's puked. And he got about 30 seconds down the road. I'm like, why don't I record that real quick? So I threw it up there. And then, of course, Matt LaFleur was kind of asked about it after the game. Here was Matt LaFleur's comment on Josh Myers throwing up. At the time, I thought Josh Myers, you heard me on the postgame show, I thought he moved enough to the left, veteran move, by the way, for any of us who have had one too many daddy sodas at Lambeau Field. He had a good angle. I thought he had good technique getting that head sideways to get the, poor Elton. I thought he might have got a little residual there, but evidently he didn't turn his head enough. Here's what Matt LaFleur had to say.
You praised him a few times today. I mean, there's Elton got sick, Josh got sick. There's a series of video of that. Just how hard was it? Those guys were saying was 80 whatever degrees out there.
Yeah, I asked Malik why he didn't throw the ball on that third down, and he told me that Josh threw up on the ball. I was like, that's the first time I've ever heard that. Matter of fact, the official came over to me, Sean came over to me and said, we saw your center thrown up on the ball. Do you want us to take him out next time? I said, absolutely. Please do that because, you're talking about a critical situation. And it's third down, and I've never had a throw with vomit on a football. So I don't know. I don't think Malik probably didn't appreciate that.
God, I wish we could have had that conversation recorded. Could you imagine the look on Malik's face when he came over and LaFleur said, why don't you throw that ball on third down? I guarantee you the look on his face was like, you really want to know? I'll tell you. And you can see, too, I think it was Cheesehead TV or someone else tweeted out a video, and they caught the behind the quarterback cam. Malik catches the ball, drops back, takes his throwing hand off the ball and wipes it on his pants, and then goes back to the ball and realizes, I still can't throw this football. So just absolutely awesome, man. Football is the only sport where you get those kind of situations, no doubt about it. So, we got something playing in. All right, got that straightened out. That's the end of hour one. For those of you listening on the pod, we will see you on the other side for hour two. Appreciate y'all.